All right. Today we're going to be talking about the Equity Action Plan. And the reason I'm bringing this up is I think it's important that a lot of you understand the information that's included in it and how it may or may not affect you in regards to Section 8 housing and low income housing. So, to start the video, I'm going to make a few introductions and then I'm going to discuss what the video is about. But first, I must tell you guys, look, I am not connected to HUD or housing authorities directly. I do not work for HUD. I do not work for the housing authority. I'm an independent consultant. And so here with the introduction, I'll just let you know I'm the owner of section8consulting.com. I work with about 1,000 clients a year, if not more, over the last 20 years. I help people with housing, vouchers, discrimination cases, sometimes witness work when it comes to federal courts and so on. There's really not much I don't know about Section 8. That being said, we're going to move on to some of the action plans here. I've made some notations in the description so y'all can read along and then link out to it if you wish to do so. And I got to tell you guys, I'm still trying to warm up. It's been a long month. I thought I had the plan here. Of course I don't. It's going off to a rough morning already. All right, so I'm going to link it up real quick to you guys. Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. DeLeon. So here's your link up here. It's going to be in a live chat. If you don't know, this is a live video, and we're going to have to wing it today because I had some notes and I don't have it now. So here's the link in the live chat for those of you who don't know, live chat. If you're on a TV, laptop, and so on, you can chat with me live in the right or left window. I don't know how it works with phones. So with the equity letter, and what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to pull up an additional manual for you guys. Just bear with me. I thought I had everything ready to go. Patience is a very good virtue when it comes to videos. Equity Action Plan. All right, I think I found it in my database. All right, so the HUD's action plan is a particular plan is going to affect 5 different subgroups. So I'm going to break it down for you. HUD's action plan responds to the request in relation to Executive Order 13895 and is implemented by the Office of Management and Budget to specifically address procurement, resources and pertaining to HUD's Civil Rights Unit, and that most famous one that I'm always talking about, FHEO, which is your Fair Housing Equal Opportunity Agency, which is above HUD. So what we're going to take a look at is the procurement. The HUD's focusing on a wider base of small businesses and small disadvantaged businesses. It's also looking at some of the vendors that can help associate with fair housing and civil right resources. So under that, the department's office is focused on advanced civil rights, receiving legal support from the OIG or Office of General Counsel and Fair Housing from the region and regional offices. And the first target is going to be homeownership. Homeownership opportunities influence where and how households live, which in turn affects the access to community investments and amenities. In other words, HUD's homeownership program that a lot of you have been badgering me about quite a bit. I've made several videos about it. Access to homeownership and wealth opportunities. It promises that will be equitable, and it's going to be more inclusionary of those that are Black, Brown, Latino, GBTQ, which means gay or lesbian, transgender, and so on, and other underserved households that face significant barriers to realizing the benefits of home ownership. HUD's actions in this part will be working to eliminate the racial homeownership gap between ranges and actions within many different programs, along with partnership with the federal government and its partnered agencies. A sufficient supply of affordable housing across a range of income levels and locations to meet consumers is one of the more critical processes I'm talking about. In other words, they're reinvigorating the homeownership program. As many of you know, in 2000, they kind of rolled this out, and then it pretty much dissipated by 2016. So they're going to revisit this, and they're going to up the ante, and that's going to allow more of you to get involved with the homeownership program. Um, Now, of course, you can contact your local housing authority, but the thing about that is the home ownership program is not with every housing authority in America. Okay, so there's no federal database or list of this. You literally have to click on your state and go county by county, dealing with housing authorities, calling them to figure out which ones offer it. If you're not in that area, then you would probably want to port to a city that has a housing authority with the home ownership program. Now, the secondary part they're going to be dealing with is homelessness. There's been a great effort towards that in the last 2 years. So HUD's point in time count, which looks at the number of unsheltered people, around 500,000 people homeless in this country, which is a big problem. We tend to spend more on patching potholes and wars than we do effectively dealing with homelessness. Now, one statistics I want to give you is a lot of people are under the belief that everybody's on drugs, that they're high, that they're alcoholics, and so on. The actual reality is that might have been the case in the 80s. It is not anymore. In fact, the greatest portion of people that are homeless are seniors. Seniors that lived and worked all their life, but simply are unable to meet their meets in, I guess you'd say. And in that respect, the secondary class is going to be those that have disabilities. Okay, so a big portion of what Section 8 is not what it used to be. It's really about a lot of people that are disabled and seniors. And only a small fraction are actually people that just have a bad job and feel entitled to a voucher. This is really not an entitlement program. This is more to help people kind of retire at a discount. The reason we've arrived so intensely in this position as it stands is because with the pandemic raised prices. Now we're in the middle of a war, by proxy war with Ukraine and Russia. And so everything's going up. Plus, we have an inflated housing market where the cost of buildings have risen. So landlords that had buildings that weren't worth that much now have buildings that are worth 30% more. So they're exiting the Section 8 market and selling them. In addition to that, rents have gone anywhere from 16 to 43% in spike. So there's just a lack. Woefully underfunding over 20 years has also caused this problem. And so all this kind of substantiates why people arrive at homelessness. And a lot of what is homeless are not what we consider chronic homelessness. A lot of homelessness is an invention of the pandemic at this point. These are people that live pretty ordinary lives. They've lost their jobs and lost everything in the process. So it's a devastating blow that a lot of people couldn't recover from. You know, as we know, the news does a terrible job. They like shock value and bullshit, really. Think about this for a minute. Every time they want to report about homeless and this and that, the only thing they can ever really show is a row of tents in Skid Row. But that's not the reality for most of the country. The reality is it's ordinary people. Shelters are typically filled with first time homeless people that have been pretty much indentured because they lost everything after losing their jobs. That represents millions around the country that are struggling, including seniors. So going on back to that, 580,000 people living in emergency shelters, transitional housing programs, or unsheltered any given night in this country. You look at some of the underserved communities, which may include Black folks, brown folks, Hispanic people, people with disabilities, gay and lesbian people. They have even continued, they have much longer periods of homelessness and longer times to be housing and higher rates of returns to homelessness. Just as a secondary statistics, the highest use of vouchers, subsidies, and low income housing is from white or Caucasian people by the largest numbers, okay? The staggering number. Uh, Minorities and other groups only represent a small fraction. See how the news is very foolish in the way that they advertise that everybody that's in subgroups are actually the cause of all this. They're not. the biggest benefactor of all this has been white folks. Okay, just to be clear. HUD's activities building on several years of working with the Office of Special Needs Assistance Program, better known as SNAPS or food benefits or food stamps, as some of you know that are older, to support the greater equity in provision of homeless assistance. And so, anyways, we think we poured in about $4 billion, but the problem is, I think we face a certain reality with politics. People that have never had to use a food stamp in their life, that live in their little mansion, that smoke cigars and sip on bourbon all day, are making the rules for people that are working class, that have lost their jobs, are now homeless. Do you see the problem with that? So I think the primary focus of the program is going to be for those that are homeless, those that are minority business owners that are trying to get through that, and home ownership program. And I think that's exciting that they're rolling this out. I'm going to skip over to see who's been commenting here. Now, you'll know when I get to the end of what I've got to say in these videos that I always inject a little bit of my personal life. And so here we go. Johnny Platt, good morning. How are you, my friend? XX says, howdy. How are you and the kitty gang? Me and the cats are doing good. I want to tell you all a story about the cats. Now, most of you know that I have more videos than even HUD itself. I'm also the most well-known consultant in the country. Whether you look me up on Google or YouTube, I rank #1. There's no close second to me. But one thing that you'll experience in a lot of my videos, besides the incorporation of me putting my business in the street, are my cats. I don't do that to get attention, okay? I just discovered early on that people had a very distinct, they had a very big interest in me and my pets. And so they've somehow become the Hollywood stars of my videos. Maybe one here will pass by in a minute. But I have 18 cats. That's a low number. If most of you remember last year, 23. So as the news goes, we moved here to the cabin. So we have the 4-bedroom house on the market. And so you sell when the market rates are high. You set it out in the little cabin and you wait for the prices to deflate. And that's the time to buy. You don't buy and sell at the same time. That's stupid. So we're kind of crunched up in the cabin in a horse ranch. But the cats are doing good. So here's the interesting story. The cats have gotten very clever, and they discovered a floodlight. They also discovered that when the floodlight kicks on, the bugs, beetles, and moths come flying around, which those are snacks for cats, okay? So they're treating that floodlight. At first, I thought, okay, why do they keep messing with that floodlight? And then I realized they figured out that if they click it on, they get treats, okay? Do I feed my cats bugs? No. Do cats actually eat bugs? Absolutely. I watched one of my Siamese munch down on a beetle last night. What do you think cats did 4,000 years ago? There wasn't Petco. They ate whatever the hell was out in the field. You think the Egyptians ran down to you think the pharaohs ran down to the PetSmart? Hell no. Cats eat whatever's out there. They're actually meat eaters too. You can feed them raw meat as long as it's safe. But anyways, so they've been using the floodlight as a snack machine. And then y'all know about that rescue I had, 10 days in the hospital. We call her Pretty Girl, but I've had to change her name to Queen Bee. She's highly loyal. And so after saving her life, she's gone overboard. She defends me against everything. The other day, she ran in front of a 90-pound pit bull. And she was fearless. She was willing to put her life on the line for me. The dog, incidentally, was not dangerous, thank God. But it shows you the magnitude and the gratefulness of these cats because they understand that I'm trying to help them. And over time, when they realize that somebody's not trying to harm or hurt them, because you have to keep in mind, my cats are rescues. These are not normal cats. All have been injured or abused or have suffered major disabilities. And so, yeah. She is always putting some line. The problem is she's also trying to run up all my other cats. She jumped from the 7-foot cat tower and jumped in the bed, and every cat flew like popcorn. One hit the ceiling fan. She can be quite bittersweet, so I've decided to rename her from Pretty Girl to Queen Bee because she is full of herself all the time now that she's healthy. And I'll tell you another quick story about her. On getting her, she was near death that day. You saw it in her eyes. You could see it. Even the vet told me, Jay, I'm not sure whether or not I would bring her back around. There was nothing left to her. She had been starved to death and isolated to a box, basically. Now, the only way you can bring a living thing back to life is you have to give it hope. Okay? So she had to make the decision of whether or not I was there to harm her or to help her. And so I think when she realized that I was willing, she was willing to start fighting again for her little life. All right. Let's see. Comments. Thank you for telling us. Truly like it is true. Okay. Sorrento 2, I am deaf blind, and there are no shelters accepting blind. I do not have any intellectual mental issues. Is there anything coming out for the blind? Well, shelters do not give the option to reject the blind. That's a violation of federal code. It's also, I can think of about 7 different ADA laws they're violating. Anytime that you've been rejected like that, it's time to lawyer up. And I also think that a media packet to every news agency within about a 50-mile radius and light their ass up. Let me tell you something. Shelters accept federal funding. And anytime they're going to pick and choose based on people's disabilities and so on, then they're in direct violation of federal law. They're definitely going to be in a situation where they'll lose most of their funding. And then, of course, shitholes like that should just be shut down. Leon Brown, I currently live in, by the way, guys, I'm reading from the comments. Leon Brown says, I currently live in Philadelphia in the housing authority. My rent has just went up significantly. Yes. We're going to continue to see rent raised rents all the way through the year. We're expecting an additional 16% on the market for that. So a lot of you that have vouchers or are trying to rent or trying to do subsidies, unfortunately, the market is. Let me tell you, there's hot, there is red hot, and then there's white hot. Okay, we're in a white hot market. Landlords are pushing rents at extremes. In some areas, up to 42%, and they're doing this every 6 months at this point. It's gotten rather. Let me tell you something. Because HUD is a federal program, and they do fund housing authorities, which are county employees. I've dealt with hundreds of housing authorities over 20 years, and I got to tell you, the market has definitely changed. The pandemic, and then we're further exasperated because of this damn war. We're pouring billions into that war over in Ukraine and Russia, and so the price of everything's going up, and we're still seeing shortages. Now you think, well, what does war have to do? What the hell's that got to do with rents? Well, it's simple. There are consequences of the war funding and so on onto shipping and navigation systems for our country, and it is incidentally affecting the housing market. So, let's see, Johnny Platt, how will this affect FSS program? I don't think there's going to be an effect. As most of you know, self-sufficiency programs are dollar per dollar match. If you're in HUD and you got a voucher and you're let's say that your rent reasonableness is $800, and out of that $800 you're paying $300, they're going to match you $300 every month, and at the end of 5 years you receive a check. So it's kind of like 401k1. They're going to match every dollar you pay in rent, and then they exit you out the program. You got to realize the self-sufficiency program is really just a neat way to get you out, and that's for people that want to save some money along the way, and it's the government giving you free money. They're matching it, but there will be no over effect. Kepsi, sorry. Good morning. How are you? In other news, I think that we're starting to approach the summer, and as many of you know, the market's going to tighten up pretty good, and everybody during the summer likes to seek housing. Now, as many of you know, I'm a consultant. Like I said, most people know who I am and what I do. I've got to warn you guys, I've given warnings every year, almost for 9 years on YouTube. If you guys are in the market trying to get a voucher, trying to deal with subsidies, you better do it now. I'm warning you. This is the last good warning. Around June, it's going to be crazy. Everybody's going to want a voucher. Everybody's going to want to get. Everybody wants to move during the summer. It's going to be pure chaos during that time, and I'm not going to work 20 hours. I already work too many as it is. So I'm just telling you, if y'all are on the fence, thinking about doing low-income housing and vouchers and so on, you better step on the gas because it's going to get rather crazy for the summer. It's going to become near impossibility, and I may even actually close my office for 2 months because I don't want to deal with that. You can't get what's not there. So I'm just letting you guys know, if you don't make reparations, you got a couple options out there. You can call a HUD specialist, okay? Pick up the phone, you call them, they'll help you for 2 or 3 minutes, and they're going to hang up. You call the housing authority. Look, they issue vouchers. They're not going to teach you anything. You can still call them, and they'll give you lots of attitude, and if they're friendly, they'll be friendly. But they'll give you about 5 minutes to work on your case. And then you got the glorious people at 211. They always tell you, call 211. They're going to help fix your life. They're going to do all your casework. Well, they're going to work with you for about 3 minutes, giggle, and then hang up on your ass, okay? Those are your free options in this nation. They're not very good. And those of you that are dealing with homeless shelters and caseworkers there, look, those little boys and girls that just got their little counseling degree out of a bubblegum machine, they don't know shit about Section 8. What they know how to do is print out a application, and then what do? They turn that application right around to you, and they tell you to fill it out. That's the extent of their knowledge. You know how many times homeless shelters and nonprofits have dumped their caseload on me? They prefer to collect a paycheck from the government, but when it actually requires them to do anything, they don't actually do anything. And shelters have one caseworker, maybe two. They don't know a damn thing. That's the biggest travesty. Let me tell you something. You let those people help you with your application, you're going to end up waiting 95 years. It's a fabulous joke. All right. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. So I'm sitting here on a rant today talking shit about shelters. But the reality is, guys, most of you know one thing about me. I'm very broad. If people want sugar-coated shit, you're not going to get it here. I usually pretty straightforward about that. I think that people just simply need to hear the truth. If it's hard for you to digest the truth, there are lots of party clowns making videos about Section 8. These are people that roam around the halls of Google, and they copy and paste a bunch of nonsense that's 20 years old, and then they give you advice. And then the same person giving you that advice about Section 8, it's not a consultant like me. These are people that tomorrow they're going to make another video, and they're going to be an expert at coffee pots, and the day after, they're going to be the master consultant of fidget spinners. That's right, fidget spinners. So there's lots of bullshit on YouTube. So just get ready for a wild ride. And another thing to tell you about is Google, getting information there. A lot of you self-educate. Most of those articles are respun. In other words, somebody wrote a fantastic article that's probably 15 years old. Then they copy somebody else, plagiarizes the hell out of that, and then they nip and tuck and take things out of there, and it's irrelevant. Let me tell you something, you guys, you don't understand. Doing research about Section 8 on Google is a terrible idea. The information's outdated. Almost all the articles, and I've read a bunch of them, they're complete nonsense. You'd have a better chance of getting a fortune teller to help you than you would reading that nonsense. They'll put in there how to get Section 8 fast, how to get it quick, and then you start reading the bullshit they tell you to fill out an application. Who's got time to read that drama? Besides that, they respin it all. It's the same people writing the same old garbage all over and over. Those people have 30 minutes invested in their career, and they're giving you advice. Okay? Just a warning. You think these people read federal code? Do you think they read Title 24? Do you think they own 13,000 operational manuals like me? They're reading policy, procedures. They know where the manuals are created, that they've actually read them. HUD reports, directors' reports, all that. No, they don't. So it's all nonsense. Like I said, you'd be better getting advice from a drunk in a bar than you would reading the bullshit on Google. And the same thing with most of what I see on YouTube. No offense. I understand that people need to con and play games to make a wooden nickel for their little videos. But fucking with people's housing and pretending to be something you're not, that's a fantastic joke. And that's exactly what people do on YouTube. They have no career in this. It's all just a big joke. So I've made myself clear. All right. Leon Brown, how do you save when you live in housing? Well, you save very slowly. It depends on your income, I'm not an expert in that area in finance, but I can tell you that Saving, well, you don't really have to save. If you're talking about the self-sufficiency program, when you pay out your $300 in rent, then the government will match that on your self-sufficiency program. So it's automatically put in a bank account or what they call escrow, and then at the end of the 5 years, you get it. Okay. Um, Leon Brown goes on to comment further that do you suggest a person start looking for housing? Look, let me be very clear about this. If you guys wait till June and July and August, you're not going to get housing. You're going to be on the longest list you've ever seen in your life. Look, they're going to come and knock on your coffin door when you're about 6 feet under. They're going to knock on that pine box and say, "Hey, we got a voucher, but you didn't answer. So unfortunately, you've been purged from the list again." Look, everybody's like ants during the summer. They all want to move. Look, if you have herd mentality, let me just do all my shit during the summer. Well, so does everybody else. There won't be nothing left if you don't start doing it now. I'm telling you, you guys come. Oh, I've got an. And the same thing's going to happen this summer. A lot of people come to, "Hey, Jay, I need a consult." Right? Okay, that's fine. And oh, it's an emergency. Well, you had all year long to think about it. January, February, March, April, and May, 5 months. This is now the federal budget comes out in January for this, so they're flush with cash. This summer, it's going to be like putting a quarter in a bubblegum machine, except you're not going to get anything. Okay, I'm just telling you. If you're on the fence, you better do something. Thinking about it ain't going to get it. Oh, I'll call you back after I'm done with yoga. No, you won't. There won't be nothing to give you. You'll get a mat, but it'll be at the homeless shelter, and you won't be doing yoga there. So I just so everybody's clear about this. When June comes, I'm shutting down. I ain't got time for that. We'll pick it up again in October because I'm not going to deal with an impossible situation. We all know this is coming this summer. Leon Brown's laughing. Okay. Beautiful Brown Baby. All right. Interesting name of the day. Good morning. How are you? And Beautiful Brown Baby says, I scored a 10 on the questionnaire. How likely will I be approved for emergency housing voucher in California? A 10? Well, you won't get anything but a roll of socks and a bologna sandwich with that score. You need about a 34, 32 to 35 probably. I don't even know what test you've taken, so it's hard to say. And I also don't know any of the details about your case. Look, guys, there are preferences built into this. Preferences mean that they prefer certain people in certain situations over other situations. If you know how to target specific preferences, that's half the battle. The second thing is quit applying in the big city. If you walk in and you thought you were the smartest person on the block and you live in Los Angeles and you thought you were the first one to go and apply for a voucher, you're truly full of unicorns and rainbows. You don't get it, do you? But you could ride that car or ride that metro bus 2 counties over where the population is about a tenth of that and probably get the voucher a hell of a lot quicker. It's not important where you get vouchers, guys. It's only important that you get it and then you can port it. Sometimes you have to sacrifice 12 months of your life. But if you get it in a small town with one horse and one buggy, then that's the best way to go after it. And then if you want to port yourself back into the core of misery in LA or Orange, please do so. But you have to look at this in a dynamic way. If LA or New York doesn't have anything to give, then you got to get it from somewhere else. Okay. So there's all kinds of plays in the playbook. I've had 20 years to think about it. At first, you start to view their operations and procedures and the special preferences, special use vouchers in a normal way. And then after a while, you start to realize there's gaping holes in the system. And if you know how to play your cards right, you can jump through those loopholes. Look, there's there's no deception required. There's no line required. It just simply means that if you view the system and learn from it long enough, then you start to see these gaping holes. That's part of what I do. It's the clever way of winning. Okay, I play to win. Look, if you can't beat the people that designed it, if you can't play the game better than the people that designed it, you're not going to get anything. And it takes a damn. Look, I didn't get good at what I do until about 10 years in. All right, through from experimenting, to a certain degree, and then you start to get really good where you're able to get things quickly. To this day, I still can get people vouchers. Now, this is not a guarantee, but there's a lot of programs that can issue in 30 to 60 days if you know what you're doing. But this is not a I can't tell you how to do that in 15 minutes. There's a lot required. And we all know, even if you get a voucher, you still have to find a place. That's hard. The whole system is a pain in the ass, okay? It's a lot of stress, a lot of not losing sleep, and there's a lot of work and participation in it. Look, I work with a lot of clients, and I get a varying degree of mentalities behind those wanting vouchers. But the reality is, you have to be prepared to listen and do what I'm telling you to do. There's a lot on my part that has to be done in order to help clients get the stuff quicker. Otherwise, your other option is you take that dollar store pen and pop on your flip flops and you roll down to the housing authority and do it your way. And then you can call me in 15 years when they give you a ring. But unfortunately, you were in the shower. The phone went to what? Voicemail. And then what happened? Oh, you didn't answer. That was part of the requirement. You answered the phone. So unfortunately, they just purged you. That was 15 years of your life down the toilet. I had a lady call me the other day. Oh, I applied in 1983. They haven't called me yet. Honey buns, they didn't. Let me tell you something. They purged your ass so long ago. You're not on any waiting list. They got rid of you the first year. You didn't listen. And now you're just sitting there on a fantasy waiting list. That's the reality I'm delivering this morning, but it's the truth. That's the better part. It doesn't matter if I convey the message professionally, whether I convey it like somebody off the street, whether I convey it as an intellectual. It doesn't matter. You know, everybody comes from different walks of life, so I tend to convey messages in many different ways. That's how we keep it spicy around here. Nobody wants to sit around and watch somebody, a middle-aged white dude, sit there and beat his gums all day on the YouTube and not get to the point. So that's what I'm trying to do and keep it interesting. Okay. So I'm going to read some more comments here real quick. So Beautiful Brown says, unfortunately, I would have to accept the yoga mat. Well, yoga in the homeless shelter is going to be rough. That's going to be rough. Shower time is going to be misery too. You know, the showers in the shelter, man, they're like horse stalls with a man. It's bad. They treat people like cattle in homeless shelters. Seen it. Kevin C. Hey Jay, returning to my question, I just got approved for Section 811 unit and may get a Section 8 voucher soon. Is living in two different apartments with these HUD violation? Oh yeah, absolutely. So what happens when you accept two different vouchers, live in two apartments? They're going to switch you over from Section 811 to what they call Section 9. Does anybody here know what Section 9 is? It's a very, very special program the government's been running since the early 70s. When they give you Section 9, what they do is they slap some handcuffs on you. They bring you down to federal housing. The name of the apartment complex is called the Federal Penitentiary. You're given a hot 3 cots, and you get a lovely studio apartment. It'll contain a concrete bed, 1 sink, and 1 toilet. And then it's a great plan, too, because they pay all your rent. Now, the problem with this particular place, the security is terrible, and they don't let you out your house but once a day for about 8 hours. So, guys, if you don't want Section 9, I would suggest stick with Section 8, okay? I meant that in purely a comical way. I'm not trying to be a smartass, okay? Nobody needs to get upset, but I'm just letting you know that is the unspoken truth. There is Section 9. And the federal government was happy. They got kitchen services and everything. You don't want that kind of housing. It's worse than project based. You might get things could happen to you in there. All right. Beautiful Brown B says, I thank you for sharing your information with us and answering questions. No problem. I enjoy it. I mean, that's the thing. You have to really enjoy this stuff. And you have to be light spirited too, you know. Look, I got days I get on the phone and I've got seniors in their 70s, 80s, sometimes 90s. And they're absolutely wrecked on the phone, just in tears and crying. It wrecks me emotionally too, because I know that I have to work extra hard to make sure that these people that worked all their life don't end up on the sidewalk with a bologna sandwich and a yoga mat and a bed ticket to hell, a homeless shelter. Okay, I take my job very seriously. I think so. Tony McMillan's laughing. Casey's laughing. I guess y'all were laughing about my Section 9 program. We do offer Section 9, and it's fast too, man. Look, 30 minutes, 30 days from seeing that judge, we can get you Section 9. You get on down there. I'm telling you, man, you get you a nice mat on a concrete bed, they'll lock your ass up. So Watch out for Section 9. But hey, they pay all the rent if you're interested. Star Quality, hey, good morning. How are you? Star Quality says, so glad I found you. I'm glad you found me too. Brittany Madero, hey Jay, how are you doing? I'm doing good this morning. Chugging some coffee, petting the cats, and enjoying the little cabin here in Horse Ranch. Sonia Grinstep, good morning. How are you, girl? She's laughing away about Section 9. And Section 911. Yeah, we could call that too. So so the federal government does offer Section 9 or Section 911. If you need free rent and free meals, we can send you down to federal prison. You get your Section 9 voucher, and then congratulations, we'll see you in 10 to 15. Hey, you don't even have to wait there. Okay, all kidding. And I'm going to put up some links real quick for you guys. These links are for those of you that are struggling with the system. So we'll go through the introductions real quick. So here are two links. One's to my website, one's to booking software. You can check me out. Look, guys, whenever my air conditioning breaks, I call the AC man. When the car breaks, you call the mechanic. You don't get on YouTube unless you really want to, okay? If you're struggling with housing, and I usually work with, like I said, I work with a lot of clients every year, around 1,000, and I'd say my success rate's around 93 to 94%, getting people what they need. It is not easy. It is difficult. It does require your participation. And if you can afford to do so, then I would suggest a consultant, especially one that's got a reputation known for getting things done. Think about this, guys. If I wasn't doing what I say I could do, all these videos would be riddled with pissed off people. Furthermore, all my reviews would be wrecked as well. They're not, okay? I didn't just invent myself. I've been here 20 years. I've been on YouTube 9 years. And anytime a consultant has more videos than HUD itself, says a lot, okay? And I think that really my reputation speaks for itself. But the main point I'm trying to make is simply this. You can waste a lot of your time. You can a lot of worrying and trying to figure it out, or you can work with somebody that can get you there a lot quicker, okay? Now, beyond that, I'm going to give you a few more links here. These are service reviews and Google reviews and so on. Just to be apprised and fair to everybody, anybody can buy reviews, okay? So if I'm willing to say that, probably means I don't buy them, okay? And another thing, most of my reviews come from pretty neurotic people. In other words, they're just kind of weird enough that actually have to probably be real reviews. People do leave me bizarre reviews, so that's kind of how you know it's real. None of my stuff's choreographed. So there's a review stuff. You check it out or whatever. It only means what you believe it does. We're also registered with the Secretary of State for the state of Texas. So, we are licensed. We are a C Corp and so on. So I think that the evidence is present. And I'm the type of guy that I'm not in China. I'm not in Russia. My real phone number, my real address to my home, all that's in our website. I don't hide from any of that. Look, the feds would have visited me 20 years ago and had to give me Section 9 if I was out here doing the wrong thing. So anyways, beyond all that. So this summer, planning a little beach vacation. And, I asked you guys earlier in the year what kind of beaches you thought about. Now, this is not some luxury deal where I'm going out to the atolls in the middle of the ocean. We're just talking about the beach off the Florida coast. So hoping to get some recommendations from you. I was hoping to take my cats out there too. That may seem a little bit weird, but my cats won't run off. So now I won't take all 23 because that would be a miserable ride. And I got one, he likes to poo in the cage. It's nothing like a good 12-hour ride with a kitty poo. And so I think what it is, a lot of them are traumatized from the abuse that they had before I got them. And I think they equate a lot of their misery to all those times I've had to put them in the cat carriers and bring them to the vet. And the vet had to give them injections, in some cases IVs for days. And so I think it kind of equates to trauma. So I only bring my most healthiest ones with me. But we're thinking about cruising the beach out there. And I'm sure I have to call and see if the city's going to have an issue with it. But yeah, I think that would be fun. I think the cats are not going to jump into ocean water, but I think they'd enjoy the sand. So we'll see. Reading back from the comments here, beautiful brown, nice vacation, sounds great. I want to get out there and get some sun. Check out some of the seafood restaurants that are in the area. And one thing that I'm going to plan is what they call, full moons. So get a good tide out there. So you put a little raft out there and you float on it. And I like to go when the tide's at its highest. So the moon, when the moon's at full moon, has the most gravitational pull. And of course, do it during the summer when the Earth and the moon are much closer together. So I'm actually planning a little bit here to catch a good tide, and then I'm also researching beaches that have a lot of seashells. Something interesting. We never outgrow our childhood fantasies of the seashells on the beach and all that good stuff. So just going out there to enjoy it and have my cats enjoy it as well, if they permit me to do it. I would assume they allow adults to get drunk and fight and shoot each other on the beach, that my cats wouldn't be a problem. Okay, so we'll see. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to see if there's any further comments. I don't want to bore y'all too much with my personal life. And by the way, would y'all like to see the view out in the cabin? And I'll show you a few kitties. I ordered a new cable. It's 10 meters, 30 feet. And I'll be able to show y'all more because we're not going to keep doing the kitchen thing. So I'm going to show you all the view. It's going to be a little blurry until it gets settled, and you might even see a cat. So that, my friends, is the view that I have. I told you I'm out on a horse ranch. I'm on a horse ranch. It's quite nice. It's pleasant. Now my cats are really loving it out here. And so, yeah. All right, so answering questions again. Hey guys, I realize I didn't answer a question, but you got to realize these questions don't come through the internet instantly. It takes a minute for it to come up. If you get impatient with me, then it's going to be bad news for you. I have to put you in timeout. All right, let's see. Jalen, star quality, what was the answer to the home ownership question? Hey, okay, let me look back and see. Hey, Jay, can I use the EAV for home ownership? Yeah. Yes, you can. You can utilize any voucher that's federally funded for home ownership. So it would go from rent responsibility to mortgage responsibility in that respect. Sierra 2, can you recommend anyone in California for blind housing stuff? Sierra, why don't you message me? Put some links in the description, and then I'll look it up for you, okay? And then give you some recommendations. Leon Brown, give me starry eyes. Appreciate that. Beautiful Brown baby says, must be nice. Fresh air, no city pollution. I just came out of all the pollution. And two neighbors, 2 doors down, it was a great neighborhood we lived in until the drug dealer moved in. Having the FBI and the ATF storm it, okay? So they bought a nice house to turn it into a drug den. And then we had traffic a lot. It's got enough of all that, It's got enough of that. I have no neighbors here. Nothing but acreage. It ain't mine, okay? But while we wait to buy a house, but it made me make one clear decision. I no longer want to live in the suburbs with cookie cutter homes where people buy a whole row of the houses as an investment and then they rent the shit to drug dealers. I'm not going through that again. They took a beautiful neighbor and then just took a shit on it, man. And I'm so pissed off about that. So I've just decided to sell and get the hell out. That's what happens when you let people that live 14 nations over buy 15 fucking houses and then they rent to any asshole. I'm not going to deal with that. I've lived too damn long and I don't think I need to go through that. What I mean by any old person, I mean the damn drug dealer. Okay? I'm not going to put up with that shit out there. So I'm just going to buy a house with 5 acres where if I want to visit my neighbors, I'll have to book a fucking flight on a plane and then I'll be able to see them. That's the best way to eliminate bullshit, I don't want to live like a bumblebee where everybody's up my ass in the neighborhood. I can't stand that. And so that was bothering me about that neighborhood. But the drug dealer, man, that's what really... Look, if you don't think drug dealers can't move in a nice neighborhood, you're crazy. They will do it. And they'll tear it up. And, yep. Jalen says, that wasn't my original question. You know what, Jalen? I'm not doing consults in this thing right now. I understand you have questions, but you're not going to direct me in what I am going to do and not going to do in this channel. Okay. So why don't you just email me about it, because I don't feel like going through this. All right, guys, I'm going to close out the video before I get pissed off, and y'all have a nice day, okay?